Hey y'all, it's 1:35 in the morning, um, and if it looks like I have a crazed look of a madman on my face, it's because I have been arguing with people for a week, a little less than a week now, about the syncopation of videotape. Now there have been two main responses um, to the Vox video. Number one, okay, I'm gonna do an impression. Number one, oh, this is basic, man. Syncopation? You could explain that in 30 seconds. You don't need 10 minutes. Response number two, it's not syncopated. It's syncopated, boys and girls. Thanks, Ellen. I normally, include both genders, but I don't know. It just came out, you know. Uh, this is a topic of great passion for me. Okay, there are a lot of kind of different things running counter to each other, and in my opinion, leading to these differences of opinion. And I'll admit, mine is an opinion, and an opinion is not fact, but I have an informed opinion. For those of you who have seen the Vox video, great. If you've seen the longer video that I created originally last year, end of 2016, the 38-minute one, it's really more about my journey with discovering the hidden syncopation than the syncopation itself. But, it's a fun one. If you have time, go watch it. If you have watched it, kudos to you. Hats off. But yeah, my opinion is informed. It's based on quotes from the band, a long-lost forum quote from Nigel Godrich, an interview quote from Phil. Phil is the drummer, guys. The drummer should be able to know where the downbeat to a song is. And yet he's on record giving an interview to like an Argentinian Radiohead website, saying that videotape was really tough for him and he couldn't find the beat for 2 years. It was like really hard for him to hear the beat for 2 years. Tom York went to talk to David Byrne. I found this out after I released the video. It would have sent me over the edge and like, oh my God, I need to tell everybody this is proof, and little did I know people would say this is not proof either. But, Tom York told David Byrne that videotape, Johnny was obsessed with how the piano was pushed an eighth ahead. And everybody hears these little things that Johnny's playing in the 2006 version. They think he's playing 16th notes, which makes complete sense if you think the tempo is half what it is. Like Radiohead kind of ambiguously lets you think when you think the bum 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 are quarter notes. Of course you're gonna think bum bum bum. It's like 16th notes, but no. Johnny is actually playing eighth notes. He's upstroking. Okay, so that shows that the guy. Every other song we know the downbeat for, Johnny is playing a downstrum. He doesn't just decide to go against his whole guitar playing career and play an upstroke with the piano if the piano is on a downbeat. If you guys play guitar, if you guys pay attention to what Johnny Green was doing, he plays daydreaming like this to show you the three main notes don't change throughout the whole song. The guy plays it like this to try and show you what he's thinking conceptually in the music. I'm sorry, I'm getting really worked up about this, but it's like, up till now, the subscribers of my channel, it's been great. You guys have made me kind of feel like I'm in this safe bubble where, my echo chamber is like, yeah, everybody's into this. Yeah, everybody's kind of with this hidden syncopation thing. And then suddenly Vox publishes their video, which is awesome, by the way, has awesome animations and just great structured storytelling. but they show it to an audience that is a range of people. Some of them are not musicians. Some of them are there to watch videos about Donald Trump and Kellyanne Conway and whatever, right? And then you have these musicians and, you know, people who think that syncopation is basic, and, you know, they don't even know the song Videotape, and they're commenting about, like, syncopation's basic, man. Go listen to some reggae. Go listen to some ska. Bro, Radiohead listens to reggae and ska. That's probably some of their influence. I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm going crazy. You know, I've been arguing with people on Twitter. Another one of the things that's been happening, that happened on Twitter, is people within the classical tradition of music have been arguing with me. They say, Warren, what if you're walking just on a breezy summer night and listening to Videotape on your Walkman, the album version, and no one ever told you online with their comments that 2006 version was syncopated, and it's possible the album version is also syncopated and it's hidden from you on purpose? What if nobody ever told you that? Would you ever hear the syncopation in the album version? I was like, man, that's a good question. But I'm trained as an ethnomusicologist. You can go check UCLA's records. I'm not lying about this. They actually gave this madman a degree. My training is in ethnomusicology. In ethnomusicology, you don't analyze music in a vacuum. That was a criticism of musicology that led to the creation of the field of ethnomusicology. What the hell is ethnomusicology, Warren? I was just here for like a simple, you know, watch you melt down, you know? Okay, well, let me explain. Ethnomusicology was a reaction to musicology. Musicology is the study of music. It's great. I wouldn't be here without musicology, so I'm thankful for its roots. But it's based on an antiquated system of how to look at music. It's tied up with standard notation. It's tied up with all these thoughts about like what harmony is supposed to be. There's functional harmony and all this other stuff that, you know, today I think I disagree with, you know, because music is new now. Why are we using old study methods and applying them to new music? We have to do that with a grain of salt, because that majority view is going to try to kind of impose its right methods of analysis on new music written by musicians who may or may not have any training. Oh yeah, Radiohead is totally classically trained though, Warren, aren't they? No, they're not. Actually, Johnny is, Tom is not. Okay? Tom wrote this song on his own admission. He said it was inspired by a post-rave trance track. Have you guys ever listened to trance? It's fast. It's not slow. The piano is not quarter notes in Videotape, guys. It's actually eighth notes at twice the speed on the ands of 4 first, and then the and of 2. The and of 2 and 4. But the and of 4 is the first note of the song. So the crazy thing is, you know, musicology says we gotta analyze music in a vacuum because we have to understand what it is into itself, okay? It has certain features. Where is the tonic revealed? How do we know what note is the tonic, or what note's the do or the home note, okay? For you guys who don't know what tonic means. How do we know which key we're in? Is it a major key or is it a minor key? Here are the ways to figure that out. Oh, okay, where's the downbeat? What's syncopated? Oh, here are the ways to figure that out. And there's a very set way to look at and analyze and interpret music. Thankful for musicology, thankful. But ethnomusicology realized this was a problem because we ended up taking these methods and trying to understand African music. We used it to try to figure out West African music and Kedding and whatever the other person's name is, I forgot. They came up with a new system called Tubbs that made way more sense to analyze polyrhythms in African drumming music. Go look it up, Tubbs. It's part of like my whole theory grid and my whole approach, which is I know it's a minority and alternate view. I'm used to being a minority, by the way. The ethnomusicology view is that why are we going to take this old system that was for a certain group of people that agreed on that and use that to describe all music, written by different people who conceive of it differently. Wouldn't it make sense to actually ask the people who wrote the music what it means to them? Wouldn't it make sense to also factor in their intentions and their musical perception as also an important consideration when it comes to analysis and interpretation? That's the question of ethnomusicology that it brings to musical discussion. I'm so thankful for that, because I remember growing up in the classical tradition. I was there. I learned classical piano. I learned, singing. I was in a choir. I sang for the mayor. Did random things for the SF opera. I was very entrenched in the classical tradition. And then I did jazz, and jazz was also seen in many ways as a continuation of the classical tradition in my eyes. And when I went to college, I started to look at these other transcription systems, listen to other types of music, different tunings, different, microtonal scales, and it just hurt my ears and it hurt my brain. I'm just like, music is so vast. So after that experience, I was, changed forever. I'm like, how can you look at all music the same, using the same tools to it's not, musicology is not science. It's partly science and partly tradition. It's taking things and trying to say, okay, well, we're going to do this because Bach used to do this. It's legit. It's awesome. Deconstructed so much about what we know about music today. And it's amazing. I still use a lot of it in my approach. But just parts. The parts that I feel like make sense for the music that I'm trying to analyze today. And the artists that are making music today, they may or may not care what Bach did. They may not care what the whole common practice era and voice leading and parallel fifths. They don't care about that stuff. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It means it doesn't matter to them. So when we hear their music, and I would include Tom York in that subset, why are we trying to force them to say that, hey, your music is actually this? I told a guy on YouTube, I said, Johnny is doing upstrokes, okay, in the 2006 version. That means he's playing on the upbeat, right? And the guy said, still downbeats. Yeah, I don't know why, but he's just strumming up, down, up instead of down, up, down. And I was like, my brain's gonna explode. It was crazy. And then people on Twitter have been arguing, and a professional clarinetist, and surprisingly, a musicology and ethnomusicology student is arguing with me. He's probably sleeping happy in his bed right now, and I'm the one that's up at 2 a.m. The dude's got me crazy, because he even transcribed the drum part so that Phil's backbeat was no longer a backbeat. He made Phil's backbeat a half, an eighth note earlier. Okay, in his transcription it was a 16th note, and I'm just like, man, he's just playing the same beat as Body Snatchers, and he's saying the same beat is not the same beat. So he transcribed it, and because he made it look like he wrote it out, and he's PhD student and stuff, it gives him this credibility. And the tab books, people say, oh, but Warren, what about the songbook? The songbook says it's 4 quarter notes on the piano. The songbooks are contracted out to a third party. Radiohead doesn't write those. They just license them because there's demand for it. Okay, so I'm getting super worked up. Man, here's another argument. Okay, for hidden syncopation. As if you didn't hear enough arguments already. I just have to make this video and just lay it all out. This is crazy past midnight response, and I'm probably gonna regret it in the morning. But okay, here's another argument. Maybe the final argument. We don't analyze modern art in this way. When I go to the MoMA, NYC MoMA, great museum, I go with Ellen. We look at these art pieces. We don't know what the hell we're looking at. We're looking at lines and circles, and weird shit. I don't even know what it is, right? But luckily, to the side of that art piece, what do they got? Ellen, what do they got?
Which ones?
Next to the art, what do they have? Those little descriptions. And what do those descriptions have? They have context. The context in which the art piece can be approached. It's one of many ways I'm sure the art piece can be approached. You can never read the description and still enjoy the art piece and analyze it for what it is, right? But when you see that sign next to it, you go, wow, oh, the artist was struggling with this or that personal issue. The artist was trying to comment on this political issue at the time. The artist actually, this was their process. They actually mixed this color with that color to create new colors. And that color was actually some color that is very, very, very fresh and very vibrant and stuff. And all these things are in the description. And yet, when it comes to music, some guy wants to give context, me, and people say that we can't take that into account. We cannot take your context into account. We can't even, if what their argument is, what if Tom York said that Videotape was in 5/4, Warren? Would you take that into consideration too? I'm like, first of all, I don't have to argue with your hypothetical because he never said that. I'm just basing whatever my view is off of what is in the interviews, what's on record. You know, I'm not like, it's not like fun to like make these arguments and then just like be told you're crazy when you were literally in the same place for 4 or 5 years hearing the song as straight and on the beat. It's like, wow. But anyway, let's get back to positive place. The positive argument I was making about the MoMA, okay, is you have a tour guide there, like in that little description, that little museum, tour guide, right? And he's passionate. He wrote that thing. He or she wrote that thing. Thanks for reminding me, Ellen. Gender equality. They wrote that thing for you to be able to consider. Just consider it.
Your friends might say, "Oh, well, Radiohead never wrote a little side note for us to."
Yeah, but they did when they were asked, and they responded in that way. So to me, it's like, yeah, unless you, maybe the argument is, why didn't they include it in the liner notes? And you're like, really? Should an artist have to spoon feed something? What if they just wanted to keep it subtle? And the people who heard it, and the people who didn't hear it just don't hear it. Mm-hmm. Is that possible? Maybe possible. The guy... Why wouldn't it be possible? Right. And somebody linked to me that Videotape performance from BBC and asked me, Warren, where's the downbeat for this? As if he had found an example of hidden syncopation that runs counter to what I was saying. And I watched a video, I hadn't seen that performance, but Johnny starts with the analog synth, do, 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 and you think that's where the downbeat is, but he reveals more context shortly after to place it as an and. One and boom da do da do do da do do da do da do da 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 da. Sounds like a downbeat by itself, but is a syncopated eighth note when he reveals the context. And I was like, bro, you linked that to me? Do you not realize you just agreed with me? That's a link to a song that does literally what I'm saying the piano is doing. Instead of that analog thing with the eighth starting up and giving you a false downbeat, imagine the piano there instead. And then later on, what happens? Context is added, which reveals that the downbeat was false, right? It's a technique. It's a clever composition trick. We can't, I'm just saying, guys, we can't just look at music for what it is in a vacuum all the time. We can also, it's also good, I won't say it's right or better, but it's also good to factor in context. What did the composer put into it? There's this argument back in like philosophy says the dead author thing. I can't remember what the actual name of it is, but basically said, any piece of art that you enjoy, you have to assume that the artist is dead and that their intentions cannot be known, and that all that you perceive in the art is from the art itself. Their intentions don't matter. The context of it doesn't matter. It's called deconstructionism, or it's connected to like Jacques Derrida or whatever. It's getting to that level, guys. The philosophical, like Schrodinger's cat type of philosophical argument. And I had no idea that this video could spark such passionate disagreement, And I guess, I shouldn't be surprised. But, coming from my channel and releasing a video to people who've been listening to me talk for almost 10 years, to having an audience on Vox, which is just anybody, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised that it would have been so controversial. But, yeah, I'm an ethnomusicology guy, and all I'm saying is consider it. Just consider it. This video is for all the people who, were on the fence or whatever. I guess I'm making it to sort of make myself feel better a little bit. But, yeah, it's been like a roller coaster. Like, some days have been awesome. Some days was, better stay off Twitter. But, I do know, I'll close with this. I do know that people have come forward and told me, Warren, I heard the album version before I even heard the 2006 version, and I heard it as syncopated right away. And I said, what? How's that even possible? I didn't even give you context. I didn't make a video that you watched to find out. How did you know? It's very arrogant of me. And they were like, Warren, I just heard it like a minute or so in. And I'm like, what the hell gave it away? There was no reveal. And it must have been some combination of Tom's vocal melody rhythm plus the floor tom rim knock. Ka-doom, ka-doom. Somewhere in that, somebody heard 4-and instead of and 1, or I'm using a 1, a 1, 3, 4, a 1, 2, a 3, 4 became 4-and, 4-and, 4-and. Like, that's amazing to me that someone heard that without hearing the 2006 version first. Just goes to show, there's so many different people out there, so many different ways of appreciating and enjoying music. It's quite beautiful, actually, if you think about it. Lots of people have written nice messages and, on Facebook and in the comments, and like some people are backing me up, and the few students that I've told about this, I have private students as well. I've talked. I won't lie. I told all of them about it because I was like, I was getting, but like, yeah, they were just like not engaging with the comments. They're like, Warren, it's YouTube. It's YouTube. They're just reacting. Keep your chin up. But I've got good friends. I've got a great, internet community that like watches these videos. It still blows my mind, actually. But it's like, yeah, we hear what you're saying, Warren. It's a cool idea, Or some great comments were just like, yeah, I still disagree with you, but man, it's been a great discussion. And I'm just like, I really wish you could see what I'm saying, but okay, agree to disagree, okay. But, guys, if there is a museum of music, and I have, I am opening a museum of music, I hope more people will come to my museum. That's all. See the descriptions that Warren wrote, with the art pieces that he curated to be in it, because he's passionate about them and he sees something in them, hears something in them. I just want more people to come to my museum, guys. Okay. It's 2 a.m. now. Time to stop this video. But
I read up on the deconstruction.
Oh yeah? What's it called? It's like the author is dead, right? The death
of the author.
Death of the author. Read it. What's the theory?
The theory in short.
Louder.
The theory in short is to give a text, an author, and assign a single corresponding interpretation to it is to impose a limit on that text. So that's why you have to separate.
What? What is it?
So basically, you separate the art from the author.
Why?
Because if you don't, well, you're supposed to, because then you take the art for itself. But if you put it together, then you put a limit on that text, aka you put a limit on
Okay.
the art.
Because when you connect it to the author, then you're limiting the number of interpretations.
Right. So
Yeah.
so his
Yeah.
time.
No one said this was that Tom York's and my view or whatever, Nigel's view, Johnny's view, Phil's view, because they all agree with me. No one says that their opinion is the right and only opinion. I'm not saying that. But I'm just letting you know that these were their intentions when they wrote it. And I'm just deductively reasoning their intentions, not because I'm in their heads. That's absurd, right? But as a composer of music, of course I'm going to take notice of these clever things that they do and take what they're saying in these interviews and things like that at face value and go, wow, that's pretty cool. You can actually write a song and then play something syncopated over that and then remove the things that help you place the downbeat. To write by subtraction is essentially what Radiohead did with the 2007 version. They wrote the song and subtracted parts. You know, it was already kind of modeled that way in 2006, but they just made it even more subtle. And to me, that's bold, that's scary, innovative, and it thrills me, and it makes me want to listen to it. It makes me want to hear it in the way that they heard it, you know? And it's just one way of hearing it. Of course, all the audience members clapping on the downbeat, you know, they're right too, in a way, right? Wrong, according to the way the band hears it, in the sense that they don't align, but doesn't mean they're wrong. You know what I mean? It's just a different way to hear it. And yeah, I just think we need more ethnomusicologists. We need more people who are cool with context. Not saying that context limits the view and interpretation of a piece of art, and it can only be limited to that. Yeah, consider the artist that made it dead. I'm fine with death of the author. But also consider the author is alive. Both. Dead and alive. Oh my God, we're going back to the Schrodinger's cat thing. Dead and alive at the same time.
The essential meaning of a work depends on the impressions of the reader rather than the passions or tastes of the writer.
Yeah.
A text unity lies not in its origins or its creator, but in its destinations or its audience.
That's an argument.
It's
a good argument.
basically trying to say that readers must separate a literary work from its creator in order to liberate the text from interpretive tyranny. So that's where
how ironic that we've created a new tyranny where music analysis can only be done in a vacuum. A new tyranny. What, you want a free analysis from tyranny and then impose another tyranny? It reeks of what's called hegemony. This is a cultural hegemony. Okay, when a group of elites, this is like Marxist or something, a group of elites decide to say to a whole group of people, this is going to be the norm now, guys. This is going to be the norm. All right, it's 2:04 now. We gotta. Thank you for that. Anything more that you read over there is just gonna stoke me even further.
Okay.
And I'm not wearing pants, so
Yeah, you are.
I'm not gonna prove it. Okay. Good night, guys.